Oh yeah, that color, Midnight Rider from Columbia Coatings. I'm gonna take you through the whole process of how we got to this in this episode of Flip and Customize. We're getting into some powder coating. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel, and today, another powder coating video. This is what we got in the queue. This is a complete e-bike frame that we have already put into sandblast. This has already been sandblasted. The next step, we're gonna outgas this thing. So we're gonna cook it in the oven at probably 425 for an hour or so once it comes up to temperature. And then the goal is going to be hitting it with this Midnight Rider color from Columbia Coatings. It is an awesome color shifting color. Here it is right here. All right, and the key with the Midnight Rider powder, if you're looking at the Columbia Coatings website, just be aware, read the description. So in the samples they show you, this is a coating over gloss black. So in order to achieve what they have in that photo that you just saw, and that's what the customer wants, what we gotta do is outgas this whole thing. We're gonna put it into a gloss black, partially cure that gloss black, then we're gonna put a good old coating of Midnight Rider on top of that gloss black to achieve that color shifting blues, purples, and everything it is. And to do that, we're gonna be using our Cool Coat 3.0 DPW system that we've opted for the additional regulators and the, I think they call it a mini stand, or it's basically like the big commercial hopper units. We've had good luck with it, and their customer support is outstanding. So what we're gonna do now, get them in the oven, outgas them, check back with you. All right, now that these have cooled off, as you can see, all the threaded holes and places that we need to, well, we gotta keep powder out of those places. And what we have is a whole bunch of different size plugs and caps and you name it. And what you do basically is you just go along into the threaded holes and you're gonna plug all these holes before you coat them, so you're not coating the threads. And then you gotta chase out all the holes with a tap. I mean, occasionally it happens. You might have to here and there. These ones here that the bearings go in, what we'll do is we'll either vacuum those or we'll just give them a wipe with our finger before they go in the oven, the bigger areas. I don't really think we need to plug those. But I'm gonna go ahead and get all of our plugs in there, then we'll load the gun up with our OEM black and get her done. All right, we got our Cool Coat powder coat gun all loaded up with our Vortex cup here with the OEM black. That is a nice gloss black. We're gonna be running about 75 kilovolts on this first pass, and somewhere around 7 PSI. It all depends on your setup and everything. And they got new tips out here that give like a really nice disbursement. I'll show you here in a minute. We got our parts up here, they're all blown off. Remember, we outgas these things. I'm gonna go ahead and lay on a good layer of the OEM black, that gloss black, right here in the camera so you'll be able to see it. And then we'll get them in the oven. They're gonna flow out, meaning gel out, or that powder just melts. And right after it melts, I'll probably leave them in there another 2 minutes, take it out. So we're not full curing this. You don't want to full cure it so you get a real good adhesion of your top coat. Layer that on. Doing the subframe and the swing arm first. Slide this in. They don't bump each other. And then while these things are flowing out, I'm gonna prep the main frame, hang that, get that sprayed, then boom, swap that out, get that in there. Once they cool a little bit, we'll get onto the Midnight Rider. All right, those ones are still flowing out. We'll check on them in a second, but this one, about 28 plugs later, it's all plugged up. We'll go ahead and we'll vacuum these out to keep it off from the bearing races, the powder itself. And then I guess we could take a peek at these. I don't know if they'll be flowing out yet. Oh yeah, they are. They're starting to flow out. Not completely. Ooh yeah, it's gonna look so sick. All right guys, the subframe and swing arm are out of the oven into that OEM gloss black, and it is awesome. I can't wait to see what that looks like with the Midnight Rider. Now keep in mind, it'll probably be tomorrow when the sun's out again to show you the true effects of that color. And keep in mind, this one's ready to go in the oven now, that this aluminum is not super smooth. It has a little bit of a texture to it, so you would have to, if you wanted this thing dead glass, you'd have to sand the frame and get this thing like, woo. But it's gonna look killer. Oh yeah, that gloss black, that OEM black from Columbia Coatings. It's probably the nicest looking gloss black I've found. And this frame, like I said, is a little bit porous from the casting, and it still smooths it out real nice. What I'm gonna do now is we'll set this aside. I'm gonna go ahead and probably do the subframe and a couple brackets in the Midnight Rider to make sure we're dialed in and where we wanna be. And before we get into the big main part of the frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and load the gun with our Midnight Rider, and then we'll be dropping the KVs down to around 28 to 30, somewhere's in there, and running the same tip. If we're not having good luck with that coverage, we're gonna go with a multi-coat nozzle, which you always can use. Then you're gonna crank your KVs way up if you do that. But I'm gonna try it with a regular nozzle because it flows out so nicely. It really gives a nice finish. All right, guys, the gun is all loaded. We're all fired up. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this on. Essentially, it's gonna look, I'll show you one here. We're gonna have a little F-bomb. Basically looks like a clear, and it is a clear with a lot of color shifting metallics in it. So it's basically going to go on there white like so, and then you don't really see what you need to see essentially until it comes out of the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and finish spraying this, and we'll put this in the oven and take it out so we can see it before we move on to the rest of it. All right, here we go. This piece just flowed out. I took it out of the oven. It's really hard to tell with lighting in here. It'd be better in the daylight, but look at that blue-purple color shift on this thing. And you're only getting that because of the black base. Oh yeah. I'm gonna move on to the other pieces, and then we'll be checking this thing out in the sunlight before we know it. Another thing worth noting too is once you put this in here, I just pulled it out once it flowed out to look at it and make sure it was what we wanted. And it is, obviously, it's the Midnight Rider over gloss black, so it's what we wanted. You go for the full cure this time. You partially cure your first coats, but the second coat, you're always going full cure, the full duration, which I believe this stuff is like 400 degrees. That's part temperature, not 400, just your oven's temperature. It's once the part reaches 400 degrees for 12 minutes. And then you start that timer once the part comes up to that temperature. And that comes with experience and time. You know, you shoot it with a temp gun. There's different tools and tricks, and we can get into a lot of that too on another video where we talk about all of our equipment, how we use it, or anything else that you guys want to know. So make sure you drop a comment too in the down below in the comments, and let us know what you want to see, what you want to see next, what you want to see more of, less of, whatever. And don't forget to subscribe while you're there. All right, guys. One thing I always do as well, even though I'm powdering with a light on my gun itself, I go back and look for light areas with a flashlight. And actually, Columbia Coatings has a better light than this out now. I tried to order it last time I placed an order, and they were sold out, so they didn't even have any. So I do plan to have that in our fleet of tools for powder coating in the future. See some of that purple and blue metallic shining through? It's absolutely killer. So I think this baby is ready to go in the oven as well. I got the swing arm in there now. As soon as that comes out, this goes in and ready for the unveil. Did I seriously just say unveil? I did. Unveil. All right, swing arms out of the oven. Cool little card that we do these whenever we do some random awesome colors. We put them out when we're a vendor and we sell them for like $5 a piece or something like that. There's the swing arm. Oh man, that is sick. And I was doing good. The main frame is in the oven, and then I was taking this little bracket out of the oven and I dropped it, which means it was soft powder and everything stuck to it. So I'm sanding this down, blasting it, and then I got to go back to black and then Midnight Rider again for this one little piece. But it happens, so we're gonna do that while the main frame's in the oven. All right, I'm sorry, I can't get enough of this. Oh yeah, I mean, it's dark now, I can't show you, but the main frame's still in the oven doing its final cure. But in the meantime, this is cooled off now. We can go ahead and take all the rubber plugs out. Now, with that being said, I only left them in because it was a multiple coat process. If it was a single coat process, I would powder the piece, pull the plugs, then it would flow out, if it's possible. It's not always possible, because it allows it less of a sharp edge. But when you're dealing with multiple coats and a part is still pretty warm and you're putting plugs in, taking them out, your chances of messing up the powder are a little higher. So I opt to just leave them in when it's multiple coats, unless it's on like a big flat surface or something like that. But anyway, just some other little things that you can do to improve the quality of your work. Super happy with how this came out. We got the bearing surfaces cleaned out there. I'm gonna pull all the plugs and we'll be taking the main frame out shortly. She is out, she is cool to the touch, and she is beautiful. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take out all these plugs here. There's a little metal, I think, ID tag that gets put on this thing too, that I will also put back for the customer. But as soon as the sun comes out, I'll get some clips. All right, guys, the sun is partially out now. Don't mind my rooster going off over there. But that is an absolutely awesome color. As you can see, we got the ID tag riveted back on there. A couple of his brackets put back on there for him. He's going to do his bearings and the reassembly of the bike itself. But all in all, super happy. Yeah, we get it, buddy. Super happy with how this came out. Everything inside, outside. He's coated up nice. Oh, yeah. So this was a fun one that we did today on this e-bike frame with the Midnight Rider top coat over the gloss OEM black from Columbia Coatings. We had fun doing it. Go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know what you think, what you want to see. Again, thanks for watching. Scott Flippin' Customized.